Hello and welcome to episode 103 of Nolo Time. My name is Obed Velez, and with me is the man that thinks that he can win just because he has the high ground, Mr. Joel Young.
What's good, OB Bed Kenobi? That didn't go as well as I wanted.
Obi,
Obed one Kenobi.
you want to buy some death sticks? We'll talk about death sticks.
I look like C-3PO then.
yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Yeah, death sticks for 3PO. Joe, what's going on, man? How are you?
Man, I'm doing really good. I'm glad to be with you, man, here on the show. We had a really great episodes since our episode 100, so it's been great. I've been going back and actually just listening to a few episodes and just taking joy and delight. I think our last episode was a great one, so guys, if you missed out on it, go back and check it out for sure. But yeah, dude, since that time, been a lot of interesting stuff. We'll talk about a little bit here for a second, but Florida, as we're recording this right now, Florida's in the midst of mass preparation for a hurricane, and not just a hurricane, but possibly a strong hurricane that could be hitting us.
Potential Category 4 hurricane coming to our area,
That's
Joe.
strong.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, prediction is that by the time it comes around this area, it'll be Category 1, but nonetheless, it's still a pretty potent storm. So if you're in Florida, guys, you better have some water because there's like no water anywhere already.
No water, no bread.
No water, yeah, except rye bread. I'd rather eat wet cardboard. It's awful. I don't know who invented our rye bread. It's like bread is too good. Let's make it bad. They just invented rye bread. I don't know.
Get ready for the rye bread fans to write in.
It's probably the same person that put pineapple on a pizza.
Oh, I like pineapple on the pizza, man.
Podcast is over. That's it.
That's it. Shut it down.
Joel and I are no longer friends.
Plugging out my mic.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, I get it. I get how some people like the sweet in between, the savory in the pizza. Not me. I just need the meats on it. That's it. I'm
the
good. Meats, the occasional green pepper, but yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. But yeah, man. Yeah. Again, if you're in Florida, guys, take care. So
yeah, seriously.
Yeah, Joe. Not much going. Yeah, not much going on my end either. I mean, I know that I've been mentioning Resident Evil 2 remake. Still playing a bit of that. Playing a little bit of Battlefront. But that's pretty much been it, man. I mean, it's been last 4 weeks at work have been pretty busy. So even with that, I just go back to like my comfort food of gaming. Basically, is just going back to Battlefront. Going back to now played Resident Evil, which is really good. Can't say enough good things about that game, Joe. It's definitely up there. I mean, with RE4 is one of my favorite games ever. This is very close because it's basically taking the RE4 formula and making the game actually difficult, because RE4 is it's not necessarily a hard game. You do have more than enough tools to get your way around, the village and the castle and eventually the other section of the game. So this one definitely it ramps up the difficulty. Died a few times. It's good because it's difficult, not overly difficult. I mean, it's not one of those things that it's impossible, but it's challenging, and I appreciate that. So I haven't played a game that has been challenging in a while. I know I never played God of War in like harder difficulties. I heard it's really good because it definitely ramps up the challenge. But from a straight up grab the game and play point of view, I think this is like perfectly balanced. It does have a professional or hardcore mode where you actually need to use the ink ribbons to save, like the old school RE games. And I think you take more damage. Something else that's like less ammo. It's like there's already dude. It's like I'm already like out of ammo, and it's and I've missed very few shots. I mean, I've been pretty good at conserving ammo, but anything moves, I'll shoot at it. It's not. It's like RE4, right? RE4 was like that. Just anything that shoots, just shoot it. It's fine. But it's fantastic, man. I highly recommend it.
Very good, very good.
Yeah. Anything new on your end?
No, man, that's about it. I mean, I do think it's important that we update the podcasters that, in consideration with weather conditions, as well as some other things that are personally going on. We are not going to have an episode for sure this coming week.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yep. So, I mean, hopefully the week after
Oh
we
yeah.
can reconvene. I remember when Hurricane Irma went by and we were recording. I think that was our first year. Yeah, that was our first year recording.
That's right.
And man, I broke my back like that same morning after the hurricane, and
Yeah, the drugs.
I had the drugs, bro. Go back and listen to that episode.
The death sticks.
Yeah, one of the episodes back in September of 2017. See, I'm super loopy on that one. It's awesome. It's not like I can, actually dictate, but you can tell that there was something going on. I was in a lot of pain though, so
Oh
it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad.
Don't hurt yourself, man.
No, I'll try to keep it legit this time. Joe, we got a bunch of stuff, man. We're gonna jump right into it. D23 happened, and a lot of the things that we love got a pretty significant update, on pretty much all ends. Do you want to start with Star Wars?
Let's go for it.
Okay. So I think the first thing that I saw was the Rise of Skywalker footage that came out. It was a special look, is what they were calling it, right? It wasn't necessarily
exclusive look, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily a trailer.
Nope.
And we dissected this thing. We went in and actually sat down and dissected it, and we have our opinions. But Joel, what do you think of the footage? First of all, what do you think of that first half of it that was basically a tribute to the saga?
I love it, and it's consistent with the first teaser that we had, right? The first teaser makes it clear every generation has a legend, and you hear, Luke talking, and it cuts into that later on in this trailer as well, the exact same thing that he's saying. But in the first half of that trailer or teaser, a little spot that we got to a special look, right? Like we got to see, first the original trilogy. Then we saw some of the prequel trilogy, and then it cuts right into this. And that's the first time they've acknowledged it to that extent.
Yeah, because Disney's been very, I don't want to say protective. I don't think protective is the right word. I think they were trying to sort of move away from what the prequels were or what some people thought about the prequels. And which is interesting because I've watched the trailer maybe a dozen times because I've went back and watched a bunch of reactions, and I like to watch reactions because I like how everyone goes, "Oh, it's great that they acknowledge the prequels," and it makes me want to friggin' flip a table, bro. Because it's like you've been bashing the prequels for 15 years, and now it's like, "Oh, it's great to see the prequels." Come on, guys.
That's the whole reason why Disney did what they did, because of the large outcry. So, yeah, it's interesting to see that the change of perspective. But with them, what they showed, I mentioned this to you a bit when we watched it. I said I felt like the footage they showed from the original trilogy and the prequels, I felt was very intentional. Those clips that they showed, I didn't feel like it was just any random top moments or something. I felt like it was very intentional what they showed us.
Yeah, I think I mean, of course, this is the Rise of Skywalker, right? So it was very focused on Luke and Leia, and then very focused on Anakin, and we got Qui-Gon.
Yes, we did.
And the trailer, which
and Maul.
Yeah, and Darth Maul, which I mean, Darth Maul circles back at the end, right?
Right.
We'll get into that in a minute, but I think just showing Qui-Gon means that there something Qui-Gon related will be revealed at episode 9. I don't want to get my hopes up, but I think that potentially we'll get something. I mean, there's loose ends from the end of Revenge of the Sith regarding Qui-Gon that definitely need to be addressed. So so I'm happy to see him back. And then we get into the footage for the for episode 9. And um okay, so that first shot's really good with the crew looking at what seems to be as some sort of event. I'm not sure exactly what it was. So I mean, I'm not gonna say, oh, that could be this, that could be that, because I don't know what it is.
No idea.
There is some sort of like big event going on. So
It was like a festival or something.
exactly, reminds me a lot of the pod race.
Yeah.
A pod race is, but I mean, I could be wrong, of course. So it reminds me a bit of that. There's the I think the first shot that we can probably talk about, dude, is 3PO with the red eyes, with the death sticks, as I called it. So it's funny because I texted you the thing with the death sticks, and then the memes started showing up.
Yep.
It
You
was
were
like,
the first person I heard it from.
it was like 3PO got some death sticks. And very interesting to see 3PO with the red eyes. But we went back, and in that first scene where we see the crew looking at that event, 3PO already has red eyes.
That's
So
right.
so we're assuming it's some sort of mode or programming that that he's getting. Maybe 3PO is getting his old memories. Remember how his memory was wiped at the end of episode 3.
Hmm.
So maybe 3PO, maybe they were able to recover 3PO's old memories, and he just, his eyes turned red. So
Man, that'd be the Journal of the Wills right there. Oh, I'm getting sweaty.
I seriously, because it's like, he witnessed everything.
Yeah, that's how it's supposed to be. It's their story. It's C-3PO and R2-D2 telling the
Yeah,
story of Star Wars a long
exactly.
time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Yeah. So maybe this is that. I mean, that would be fantastic if that would be the case. So that was pretty cool. And then we go into the Kylo Ren versus Rey fighting in the remains of the Death Star, and I think that shot was really good, Joe.
Yeah, although ironically enough, I don't know if you've seen that people have caught a little bit of After Effects issue where there's supposed to be a shadow with Kylo Ren with his cape, and there's no cape in his shadow and his reflection because of a CG the cape and that shot. So obviously this shows you it's a special look, right? They're cleaning this thing up. It's still being worked on as we're talking about it right now,
Yeah.
but it's a great, beautiful, beautiful shot, beautiful sequence. I have some thoughts about what maybe could be going on there, considering when we jump to this next part that was the big showstopper at the end.
Yeah, yeah, and of course the big showstopper being Dark. I'm gonna call her Dark Ray
Yep.
because that's what we've got, right. Um, let's talk about the lightsaber first, and then we can go into when we dissected the scene and what we
Yeah.
think that what could be going on. Very interesting lightsaber design. At the beginning with like the dual blade, right on basically it's a dual bladed lightsaber, but not like Darth Maul's. Is basically two lightsaber blades making like a fork sort of thing. And then the lightsaber collapses and it becomes like a more like a Darth Maul type of lightsaber. Um, First thing that I want to point out, of course, it's that is the unstable beam, kind of like Kylo Ren's beam, on very unlike Darth Vader's and Darth Maul's and Sidious and Dooku's beam. So yeah, I mean, did okay. So let's jump into what we dissected. This has to be some sort of vision from that force cave that she went into in episode 8, because of what the walls in that shot are very, very similar to the same crystal walls that she encountered in the cave where she saw the multiple rays, right? So that's what I think of that. I mean, could be a future, could be a past, could be someone else that she's seeing. I mentioned it to you. It was like, dude, I mean, for all I can tell, it could be Ray's mom, because even some of her facial features look sort of different. They don't look exactly the same, but dark side, this and that, But a lot of speculation behind it. I think it's just it's a vision, and that it's a vision that we'll have a significant impact in the story. So, Joe, what do you think, man?
Yeah, I think you're right on about the vision thing. I say that's probably the highest, case scenario of what it's going to be. That's what most people who have talked to me, that's what they think it is. It's funny you said the thing about like, it could be like a parent or something, because there are plenty of people who did look at this and their first instinct was, who is that? They didn't even recognize it was Ray.
Yeah,
I had people message me, ask me, who is that person? And I was like, well, it's Ray. And so, but I mean, we recognize it because I think it's pretty clear when you get that close up face shot, right? What that
yeah,
starts with, and then it cuts back to her, wider. But yes, like you said, Obed, and the darkness takes over. There are some changes, right? Anakin looked a lot different when he starts in End of Revenge of the Sith, right, than he did in any of the other films, and even in the beginning of Revenge of the Sith.
yeah,
So the darkness does that. Could be somebody else. Also, another theory we'll throw out there is, could there be some cloning going on here? Obed and I, we've talked about this off air where, look, maybe she really is a part of the Skywalker family, but maybe she's a clone taken from the DNA of the Skywalkers, array. And that's why we don't know about the parentage situation. And is there a dark clone of her? I don't know necessarily that's the case, but it is a real possibility, considering that, JJ's made it clear that he will go back a little bit more into who she actually is. Didn't say he'd undo Ryan Johnson's, what he did in the last movie, but he did say he would go take it a little bit further. So that could be a point of contention there. But to the point of like you said, Obed, of the whole vision thing, I think it's very clear from the narrative that they've tried to give us from these other trailers that they make it clear, the Jedi, the Sith, the First Order, like this thing has been going on for a long time. This battle, every generation, the legends fighting one another.
yeah,
She's having to confront something that from the past has been there. So look, if Sidious is really back, if he is truly in a full form and is manipulating this, and we know that to be the fact, well then of course if he knows that there's a good chance that she could bring an end to all of this, of course he's going to do like he's done with every other strong and powerful Jedi, trying to bring them to the dark side, right? Maybe give them a vision of what could be. You could be like this, make them backtrack who they are. The whole point of that cave scene in The Last Jedi was for her to acknowledge who she really is, find out what her place is in all this. Is a statement that she says. Same thing with
yeah,
Luke, and when he's in Dagobah and he's doing his training. Who is Luke? He sees his own face when he beheads Vader, right, in the cave. This is all about finding out who you are. I think the dark side will try and can manipulate the belief of who she actually is.
yeah. And one interesting point in the going back to the Last Jedi is in that cave sequence, she sees herself, not just herself. She sees many of herself.
Right.
That goes into the cloning. She can be one of many, basically, and maybe she's like a genetically modified clone of Anakin that the Emperor is trying to basically make as its new vessel of sorts. So
Which would be very Force Unleashed.
yeah. So I mean, we'll see. I'm really excited. I'm very, very excited. I mean, that it gets me excited. The music was really good.
Yeah.
Again, it's just the same Star Wars music, but it's just the way it's arranged. It's different. It's a lot more powerful, and it was so good. I'm really excited. It's Star Wars. I'm in. So you don't need to say more. Which, by the way, Joe, today, the Galaxy's Edge here at Walt Disney World officially opened.
That's right.
There was only a hour and a half wait last time I checked tonight, so not too bad. But it was crazy because even I went back and checked the Flight of Passage line, and it was the same, and it was like 10 minutes less or something. It's nuts. That ride never. I'm not gonna be able to ever ride that Flight of Passage thing.
It's wonderful.
It's ridiculous. So, but yeah, they officially opened today. So that's going on, and but yeah, Joe, the next thing we saw was that Mandalorian trailer. Um, I really like what I see. It feels like not, I don't want to say sequel, but in the same vein as Rogue One, which is up there for me. So I really really loved what I saw, man, on that one.
Yeah, I agree. It's very cinematic, Obed. I felt like I was watching a movie trailer. I did not feel like I was watching a television or a show at all. I think it's the quality, and we've heard the rumors before that Disney Plus was putting, Disney in general was putting the financing behind it that would rival that of HBO, and that it would be one of the highest budgeted productions that they would have. And from the footage we saw, I'm like, yeah, that definitely looks like it, because that opening shot right away, I was like, oh my gosh, if I was in a movie theater and I saw this, I would go and watch the movie.
Yeah, seriously. I think this is a lot more interesting that just having that Boba Fett movie that they wanted to give us after,
Yeah.
like we would have gotten that Boba Fett movie sometime this year, I think. Which I mean, I'm glad they didn't do that. Um, maybe for sure, Boba Fett's going to be connected to the Mandalorian and what's happening in that, series of events and whatnot. But I'm just glad that it's not a movie. I'm glad it's not Boba Fett. I mean, who knows? He may be Boba Fett inside that costume, but we don't know right now, right? I guess we'll find out sometime next year, because Disney Plus is not going to give you all episodes ahead of time. It's going to be an episode a week, and this is set to be, I believe, a 10 episode series, if I'm not wrong, right?
10 or 13, I can't recall, but you're right there. And like I said, it's week to week, which I like, because Obed, then like I feel like with Netflix, when you had that binge going on, like it's cool, it's great that you can do that. But like then if you didn't finish watching it when you go to your office the next day, you're on your lunch break and you're talking, when you're at where maybe it's kids at school, whatever. If you didn't finish it all, then it's like, oh geez, I'm behind. But if you watch it week to week, every week it's another conversation. Star Wars is just going to keep being talked about. It's good for the brand. It's good for
Yeah.
Disney in general. So it's a smart move, in my opinion. I'm fine with it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's a smart move for the service. I mean, it's a new service, so they don't have to give you everything up front, and that's great because they're gonna keep coming. They're gonna basically get you in for 3 months at least, with that, and they're gonna keep you going back every week. And every week you'll find something different, whether it be this or the Marvel programming that we're going to talk about a little bit. But I'm excited about the Mandalorian. I really really like what I saw. It's gritty, and I like that grittiness that it had. Basically you get some dude getting sliced in half by a door, and people getting frozen in carbonite. That shot at the beginning with a stormtrooper helmets on pikes was really strong, and yeah, man, I like it. I like it.
I agree. I
We got
agree.
Death Troopers too, which are back, and that's awesome.
I'm
So
glad they're keeping that whole consistency there.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I really like it. So, and of course, this is what's left of the Empire. They're trying to set up, and this was said before. They're trying to set up basically the fall from the fall of the Empire to the rise of the First Order. So we'll see what happened in that time frame, and I'm really excited for that. Yeah, Joe. And final news regarding Star Wars that we're gonna talk about a little bit here. There's not much to talk about, but this is the one that has me the most excited because we've been talking about this for what,
Oh my
months now?
gosh! Oh, for a long. Actually, it was one of the earliest episodes of our of our no load time. I think it was maybe like episode 10 or something like that that we literally talked about this.
Yeah. So Obi-Wan Kenobi series confirmed. It's not a movie. It is a series, or they're calling it a limited series. So basically, it's going to be sort of like what The Mandalorian is. Although The Mandalorian is said to have multiple seasons, this is basically a short sort of mini series sort of thing called Kenobi, because he no longer goes by Obi-Wan. He hasn't heard that name in a long, long time. Um, so yeah, and it's confirmed that Ewan McGregor's back. as Obi-Wan. I'm gonna keep calling him Obi-Wan. I don't care because he's Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yeah, man, I am super excited. Yeah, it. I mean, it's this is what they said is gonna start filming early next year. So this is probably like a late 2020, maybe early 2021 thing. But I am really excited, Joe. I am so happy that this is happening. And this is set sort of like the same time that Solo is going on, the Solo movie that came out, which is about 9 years after Revenge of the Sith. Um, so yeah, Joe, what's there not to like about this one, man?
Well, hello there.
Yeah,
It's
oh
it's definitely gonna be a must watch right away the second these things drop, and I'm assuming they're gonna keep that week to week with this as well. Like, man, we waited a long time. I definitely wanted a movie. I always pictured this thing as being a movie because I didn't think television would do justice necessarily, right? Because of the way the state of television has been. But we're in such a new day and such a new time that, like we're talking about with the Mandalorian, the quality of
yeah,
these productions are just so good that I actually prefer this now. Like knowing that this is the option, knowing that this is what they're doing, I prefer this to be the venue for me to enjoy Obi-Wan, because I get to see a lot of things, fill a lot of gaps being filled in. They have not been much clearer because obviously, like this is just a straight announcement. They were trying to rush through other things for D23. But what everyone does know is that, yeah, it like you said, Obed, the timeline is directly after during that time, with the Solo. However, it's not clear that's going to stay in that time. I believe that these episodes could maybe even make some time jumps at certain points. I could easily see them, catching up and maybe remaking that scene in Rebels with some closure there. Maybe kind of lead into that. Maybe make a time jump right up until before we see, which is in Rebels as well. We see, you know, young Master Skywalker. Like there's a real possibility that this will let us get holes filled in between time, and maybe even present more questions that, look, if the series does really well, if Kathleen decides we want to do a little something more, they can. But at this point, we're going to get the main things that we've been asking for to be seen, I believe. And there's a lot to be told. Obi-Wan was out there for a long time. So Obed, the Qui-Gon teachings,
yeah.
as again, Rebels is canon. It's very clear that Maul and Kenobi have been looking for each other for a long time. There's some things going on there. Obed, can't wait.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this one, man. It's again, we've said it before. Obi-Wan is my favorite character. He's your favorite Star Wars character as well. So I am looking forward to this one for sure, man. Yeah, Joe, we got a few Marvel news that dropped. A couple of announcements. The biggest one for now being that Black Panther 2 is set to be released in May 2022. So it's quite a bit, far away right at the moment. I think this is good because they're gonna let their Disney Plus cinematic universe play out, and we'll get definitely content in between that time. But I really like the approach that they're using, where the next 2 years is basically all TV, right? And then we're going back into the cinematic universe as it is. I'm glad because this gives them some time to hopefully get together with the Spidey people and fix it. It's plenty of time, so that's good. So yeah, man, what do you think of that? Release date and the timing and whatnot.
Yeah, so 2018 is when we had the first Black Panther movie. This is now for May 2022, meaning 4 years later. That on paper, that sounds like, wow, it's a really long time. But when you understand the way the Marvel Cinematic Universe is moving, like you talked about over the Disney Plus stuff that's going to be coming out in between, on top of the films that we're getting, the way I interpret it is that they're giving time for these things to breathe. Like if they wanted to, let's be real a little bit. If they really wanted to, they could put this movie out sooner.
Oh
If they
yeah, yeah.
really wanted to, they could have 4 Marvel films come out a year. They wouldn't even be like struggling to do it if they really wanted to. But they're smart about these things, right? This is Kevin Feige we're talking about. He's not going to just rush into these things. He's got some finesse here. He knows what he's trying to do. And his goal right now is to expand the universe, introduce some new people, not just make, not just make back to back. You don't need to do that, right? Yes, I would love to see Black Panther soon, but guess what? It's coming. That's all the fans needed to know. So that's really great.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's great to know that at least it's being worked on. Everyone's going to be in this. I there's not much information aside from it being Black Panther 2. That's exactly what they put there. Obed, I would love to see this be something where maybe even Namor is in here. I know a lot of fans have talked about that for a while. The two kings. There's so much they can do with Black Panther 2. So they got plenty of time to tell that story. Hopefully, it will also connect to the larger plans that they have, and maybe that's why most of the stuff that goes past even this 2022 date has just not been alluded to much. It really is a lot of question marks. So
Yeah.
will be revealed in time.
Yeah, absolutely. We got some Eternals news. Nothing too crazy. There's some costume reveals, and they said that Kit Harington, right,
That's right.
from
He's
Game of
from
Thrones, is gonna
Jon
be.
Snow,
Yeah, so he's gonna be
the
in.
Black Knight.
Yep.
He'll be the Black Knight.
So he will be in the film as well. And then the Disney Plus stuff, man, because they had, One Division. I believe that's coming day one, right? Or no?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, One Division. They announced She-Hulk, which is very interesting. That's if they do She-Hulk in a very in a goofy way. And also they said One Division is going to be more of a sitcom. It's like it's going to be like Friends or something.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting. But if they do She-Hulk, like you got this lawyer at this thing, and every once in a while, she gets to flip a cable and do a suplex or something, and yeah, that'd be great, man. Very pretty. If they play into the goofiness of She-Hulk, I think this would be really entertaining.
Yeah. So for a while, it was rumored. The other stuff that was also announced, we'll talk about the 2 other shows. But those shows were rumored for a while. But like right before this stuff was announced, there was a rumor that Hulk was going to be coming to Disney Plus, and
Yeah, I remember that.
I was not crazy about that news. I was like, there's no need to do that. To me, that kind of downplays what's been going on, especially after the events of Endgame. Let it breathe, let it be. We're good. We don't need to see Hulk for a little bit. So this was a great surprise. I didn't see this coming a little bit. I don't know about you, but
I know.
knowing that this is what they're doing, she's still part of the universe. Like if they really want to pull her into the films, it's very clear Feige's in control of the Disney Plus stuff. Like this is not run by Jeff Loeb, is not run by these other guys, right? So Desposito, Luis Desposito, like they're not a part of this. This is primarily run by Feige, so he's keeping that same cinematic universe connections, right? So I think She-Hulk, like you said, Obed, done on a small screen is absolutely easily possible. She's one of the more she's one of the characters that doesn't when she hulks out, she's not going to be, just this massive brunt. She's a very intelligent person. She keeps
Yeah.
her regular speaking patterns and mannerisms just with the strength. So yeah, it makes sense for the small screens. It's good.
Yeah, and the other one that they announced that I'm interested in is Miss Marvel with Kamala
Yeah.
Khan. So yeah, that's cool. There's no that one's like super TBD. That one seems to be quite a bit away. So that's probably we'll probably find out next year about on next D23 maybe we'll see something.
Yeah.
So this one's probably at least a year away. But it's in the works.
Yeah,
So yeah.
yeah, they have a showrunner, so they're it's not like they just announced like we're doing this. They are really working on it. They just don't have anything further to announce. Casting is going to be crucial. They're going to have to make sure they get the right, Pakistani actors. It's cool. We've talked about this after Hall H. I told you, I said, Marvel's new superpower is diversity. So it's pretty interesting to see what they're doing here.
Yeah. So, man, overall, the entirety of Disney Plus is again it's a day one get. I mean, there's no going around it, in my opinion. I'm already shuffling stuff around because I got a few subscriptions already, and I wanna just go ahead and just consolidate, if you wanna call it that. Joe, let's go ahead and take a quick break,
You
and
mean,
we yeah, go ahead,
just,
man.
just one last thing, guys.
Yep,
Moon Knight was also announced. It's crazy, but there's so many things we
I
talked about. Moon
know.
Knight was also another TBD. We've got stuff, but we'll be back, like Oba said, after this break.
Yep, we'll be right back, guys. We have returned, Joe. Yeah, so Moon Knight. That was very interesting. That was a very interesting choice there for Disney to or Marvel to explore. Rather obscure character. I know of Moon Knight. I know that he has some time travel sort of ability, but that's pretty much all I know. I'm not super familiar with the character, but it's very interesting.
Server is from the ancient gods of Egypt, so it's like it's still grounded, but it is also supernatural too. So he might be. I don't know. I get a weird suspicion this might end up being one of the biggest surprises on Disney Plus of being like a really good series. This could be something very special a bit.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely gonna check it out. So we'll see on that. Um, and then Disney had a bunch of stuff regarding their parks. They unveiled the Avengers campus that's gonna be over at Disneyland, and this is taking over I think the Bucks Life area of is it still called Paradise Pier or whatever it's called?
Not sure.
Yeah, that park, man. That park's so weird. I've been watching a lot of videos about how that park came to be and how rough it was for the first couple of years and how attendance was terrible and the rides weren't good and all that stuff. So it's a very interesting story, man. You should definitely check it out. But yeah, that got announced over at Disneyland. Unfortunately, here we cannot have a more an Avengers campus. I mean, we already have a Marvel superhero themed area at Islands of Adventure, and that's pretty much gonna be it for the foreseeable future. There's not gonna be any changes on that. But I mean, Disney still they're still cashing in on that licensing, so it doesn't really matter. But I bet that they definitely want to bring characters to the parks, which they will when Guardians of the Galaxy opens, which is under a totally separate sort of thing. So yeah, that was pretty interesting. Of course, Galaxy's Edge, and then the other ride that's opening. Is it Rise of the First Order? Uh,
Rise of the
Rise
Resistance.
of the Resistance, yeah. So that's December 5th here.
That's right.
I think mid January at Disneyland. And Epcot is basically getting an entire overhaul, which is awesome. Epcot is a fantastic park.
It
Um,
needs it.
it definitely needs it. It's been rough and it's been sad. Like the last time I went to Epcot, then I talked about it on the podcast
Oh yeah.
that Epcot used to be such a magical place and such a magical experience for me going in and going into me being a giant nerd going into the Japan Pavilion and seeing all these things that you couldn't buy anywhere else, but now you basically can buy all this stuff at an Asian supermarket or order it online and sort of lost a lot of its mystique and over the years, and you had the interventions were just not good anymore, and it was depressing. It was not great. That last time that I went, it was like I don't know. I just felt really sad, but nonetheless, it's a fantastic place. But after this overhaul is done, Joel, this is gonna be this is like gonna be like top tier stuff because they're adding 3, 4 more rides. They're overhauling the entirety of the first area of the park, uh, a complete refurb on Spaceship Earth. So, and they're now dividing the park into what was it? Is it villages or something? They use a word
Worlds,
for it.
world discovery, world this, the worlds.
Yeah, so using that world theming for each area and bringing back the classic ride logos like back in the day when Epcot was first open up until I want to say mid 90s when they changed from Epcot Center to just Epcot. And they're adding a Walt Disney statue. The whole redesign of what is Future World now sort of looks more like the original vision for the park. So very interesting stuff, man. I'm really excited for that, and that's like happening right now, and it's gonna be done by 2021, right? Like
Yeah,
2022.
they're moving quick, dude.
Yeah,
There's a lot of stuff that's coming by next year. Like there's like the Moana thing supposed to be like next year, and Ratatouille supposed to be like next year. And then there's other things that TBD, like Mary
Mary
Poppins. We know
Poppins.
when that will be. We don't know when we'll see the like I said, Spaceship Earth renovations.
Yeah,
But
well, the
like
Spaceship Earth renovations, because Spaceship Earth is set to close at the end of this year,
right,
and it's going to be closed for about a year and a half. So yeah,
yeah. So
so
however
maybe
long
all
it'll
of
take.
2020. Yeah, so all of 2020, maybe they'll open before summer 2021, which is when Guardians I think is scheduled to open summer 2021. So yeah, man, it's awesome. I mean
It's
that the new setup they have is really nice.
Yeah, it's great. The one thing that gets people like us also, there's a lot of things that are really cool, but gets people like us really interested is that new play experience area where there's gonna have basically like a gaming kind of area that we're not entirely sure where that's going to be.
That's gonna
I
be
would,
at the Wonders of Life Pavilion.
dude, I would love to see them eventually announce like a partnership with like obviously Nintendo got with Universal, maybe like Sony with PlayStation or something, dude, and bring something special.
Do you think they're gonna go into partnership with Sony?
A man can dream, dude. If they can get the deal with Spider-Man back, maybe we can have PlayStation 4s. And
Can
I
you?
don't know,
I mean,
man.
could you imagine they having a partnership and then because of them being able to secure some sort of deal with Spider-Man,
Right.
I was like, oh, we'll now have PlayStation in the parks, and that will be the whatever play area presented by PlayStation. I mean, it's a no-brainer, dude. It was like Interventions presented by Sega back in the day.
Right.
That was awesome, bro. I mean, if there's a brand right now that should do that, it's definitely PlayStation.
Right.
They don't really need it, right?
No, it'd be
But you're
great.
out there, right? You're out there and you're putting your brand out there. And any partnership with Disney, it's good exposure. So look at Kodak. I mean, how long did Kodak survive just on the crutches of being partnered with Disney? They
Exactly.
like a good 10 years, man. So Kodak is basically a shell of its former self, and Disney doesn't have that partnership anymore. But that used to be a big deal back in the day when Kodak was sponsoring basically all of the Disney parks, and most of their like their entry shops and all their camera shops and everything was sponsored by Kodak. So if they're able to secure that, and they're mixing Wreck-It Ralph with that as well. I mean,
Right.
even Sega, dude, because Sega, the way that Sega's been doing lately, with the game quality, putting the product out there, they can definitely go back to Disney and
They
sponsor.
could.
Yeah, I mean,
Just imagine like a special VR experiences they can do or some man like interactive stuff. Man, I don't know. That play area has me really interested.
sponsored by 2K. You'll get to get slot machines, Joe. We'll talk about that in a minute. Joe fainted over there. It's like having a heart attack. It's heart palpitations. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for Epcot. Joe got the final trailer for the joke.
That's right.
Um, I I I really liked it. You know that I really love that first trailer. You were 50-50 on that one. What do you think of this last one, man?
I think this trailer is a lot better than that one, and that's not that I didn't think the other one was bad. That's like you're right. It was one of the things that it didn't do anything to make me have to go out and buy the ticket. It was like, okay, cool, this movie's coming. This one made me more like, okay, I like I like what I'm seeing. I like the madness. I like the because I feel like the first one was more so like an empathy, kind of like the Joker's
A pity
empathy.
party, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I'm not sure that's necessarily the Joker story I want to see if I'm gonna see it. Not that I asked for this, right? But like this, what they show me here is like a man on the rise. When he says like, "Do you not hear yourself? You say the same thing over and over and over. All I have is negative thoughts." Like, and he's like this is the chaos of the Joker. Like some men just want to see the world burn. That's the Joker I want to see, right?
Yeah.
Let him loose, let him crazy, let the hinges off. So yeah, I'm a fan of this trailer. What it highlighted, just that nice balance.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, after he got that sick burn from De Niro, it was like, oh, he's done. He's dead, dude.
That was hilarious, though. I'm
He's
not gonna
so
lie.
dead. Yeah.
I'm
Well,
actually gonna laugh in this movie, dude. I'm gonna laugh. It's
dude.
funny.
So I heard that that is a callback to another De Niro movie, I think called The Last Comic, or I can't remember, but it's a callback to another De Niro movie. It's like a play by
Nice.
play, like exactly the same thing. So uh yeah, dude. It's creepy. It's deep. Like this is gonna be very deep character exploration. I think what I talked to you about in the past, where maybe something happens where maybe this is him all along, and he's been just living a lie, sort of thing. So we see a scene where his mother's in the hospital with an oxygen mask. Maybe she's the reason why he's not unhinged, because he just doesn't want to disappoint his mom. He's just
Right.
being a good son. But once those chains are broken, you know and just now I can be myself, and that's when the thing starts. And yeah, it's deep. Like it's a like, if you put both trailers together, you can definitely tell that this is going to be a very deep character exploration. Joe, is there a runtime on this movie or not yet?
Not been announced. I was looking at it just the other day with someone else, and I was like, well, let's look at the runtime on my app. 0 minutes long. I'm like, well, this movie clearly won't be shorter than the trailer. So we'll see when they announce it. I think they'll probably still do some last minute edits, which we'll see. I mean,
Yeah,
the Warner's got. They need something big.
they do. They do.
Could be award winning. We don't know.
There's very positive buzz on around this, and you know there's talks of Phoenix again getting nominated for an Oscar in this for this one, for playing Joker. So we'll see. I mean, if there's a movie, if they play it well, we know the movie's going to be violent. We know the movie's going to be gritty. Um, if they play the characters well, if they do a deep character exploration on the Joker, and not just the Joker, but this movie definitely has some. It's gonna have some politics. It's gonna have some things there. Maybe critique on society and these things, and a theme that was persistent on this trailer, Joel. It was people not wanting to laugh, because there's the lady in the bus is like, hey, stop bothering my son, my kid. That they don't he doesn't want to laugh. We get the very serious social worker. We get the no one's laughing now thing. We get a very serious Thomas Wayne. So no one wants to laugh, and that's a you know maybe a thing on how people are just too serious all the time and not wanting to laugh, and maybe that's a play on that. But that also seemed to be a persistent theme on this trailer. So yeah, curious to see what's going on.
Which, to your point, that whole thing right there. I mean, dude, I've been talking about the Killing Joke as I compare this movie a lot. And
Yeah,
what's the one thing that he wants in the whole movie? I just want you to laugh. That's Joker.
yeah,
And we shall
it's gonna be
see.
crazy, man.
We shall see.
I'm excited. I'm excited. Joel, there's two small gaming announcements that we're gonna touch, and then we're gonna talk to go on a little bit of a subject here, but we're not gonna spend too much time on that either. Just to We don't want to walk a fine line, if you know what I mean. So
Wisdom.
Mega Man Zero Collection that got announced for PS4, and this is very basically the Mega Man Zero games that came out for Game Boy Advance and DS, along with the Mega Man ZX games that came out for the DS. So this is Mega Man Zero 1, 2, and 3 that came out for GBA, 4 that came out for the DS, Mega Man ZX and ZX Advent that came out for the DS, and those games are pretty good, man. That's a very very solid collection there. I really like. Do you have the chance to watch the trailer, Joe?
I did.
Okay. Do you notice how they did the DS stuff with the second screen?
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was very very interesting. So I'm curious to see how exactly you can maneuver there. But I mean, it's a no brainer to have it on your touchpad, and you just like press your touchpad, and then you access that screen, and then you can do whatever you need to do. That's genius, man.
And it's
Um, yeah,
it's crazy, dude. All platforms like this is coming out on Switch, PlayStation 4, Windows PC, Xbox One, January 21st, 2020. That's incredible.
yeah, yeah. It's good. I mean, that means that those games are not lost forever. Because again, those were a bunch of games that I personally thought were lost forever, especially being DS games. Although we've seen DS games come back with like The World Ends with You coming back to Switch, and Phoenix Wright. Those games are out on pretty much everything now. So that's a pretty good collection. Those games are really really good, especially if you're into Mega Man X, because they basically they tie directly into the ending of Mega Man X5. So it's like basically starts right when that game ends, and they're good. They're just overall good games. And then I think the Advent games take place like I think it's like 400 years after Zero. It's crazy, but you know it's fun. I have ZX Advent on DS, and it's really good. It's a really fun game. Very different from old Mega Man games, and not that hard. It's still challenging, but not crazy crazy hard. So I highly recommend this ones. And the other ones, Joel, is the Aladdin and Lion King
Yep,
that came
remake.
out. Yep, that came out for Sega Genesis. That's coming out this fall for $30 on pretty much everything again. And those were two games that I thought were lost forever because those games were developed by Virgin Interactive back in the day. Just to make it clear, this is the Aladdin for the Genesis, not the one for the SNES. The one for the SNES was developed by Capcom. Um, Actually, was directed by Shinji Mikami, creator of Resident Evil. So that game is not included on this collection. This is the Sega Genesis version and the Game Boy version for Aladdin, and the Super Nintendo Genesis and Game Boy versions for The Lion King. So that one does have all three because they're the same game. The Aladdin was a very different game on both consoles, but the Genesis version was the one that's fondly remembered because it had that very smooth animation that I believe Virgin Interactive actually went to Disney and asked them how can we make pixel art look like hand drawn animation, and Disney helped with animating the game, and that's why that game looks so good. So the animation on that game is phenomenal. For a Genesis game, is very very impressive. The Lion King is a good game. I don't think it's a great game, but it's hard. It's really challenging. I remember that I actually beat the game back in the day because I remember renting it and just played through. It's hard. It's really hard, but not impossible. But the same thing with Lion King is very well animated. The sound is really good on both versions of that game. So if these are games that you never checked out and you're into Disney games, yeah, I highly recommend it. Especially just for that Aladdin, man. That game's great. It's real good. Joel, as I mentioned earlier, NBA 2K20, NBA 2K20 has a sort of loot box mechanic on it that is problematic. Is probably the right word. Um, Especially with all the loot box and all the discussion that's been around loot boxes. That Started with Battlefront 2. That was the big one where people were like, "Wait, this is crazy. How can you do this thing?" Um, I don't know what they what they were thinking when they designed this mode. But in essence, is basically you get packs, like you're getting packs of cards, right? When you buy your trading cards, your tops cards, and you get a starter pack, and then you get a pack, and you get upgrades on that. So, and that's fine. That's like that is more like a regular loot box uh, model. But then they introduce a sort of like casino mechanic where it's basically it's a slot machine, dude. It's like they're not hiding it. It is straight up a slot machine with a lever and everything, and you just basically pull the lever and you can get your bonus thing or whatever points, carry a player, whatever. Um, Joe, you know how I sort of feel about 2K in general, and you know how I feel about loot boxes. But what do you think of this thing, man?
Yeah, I was surprised at how obvious, like how blunt. There's no hiding it. They're just straight up, no shame. I mean, show you, they give you what it would feel like. The trailer or whatever it is, the promotion for it, makes you see exactly what it's gonna feel like, and the guy's covering his eyes. Oh, I hope I get this. Like you're saying, like a casino kind of situation, right? I'm very curious as to see, will this fly? Because like if if it does, then it's like what's makes this different than some of the other things? What's the response from the community, right? Like that's another thing that's going to be interesting. Because if the community feels like, yeah, it's fine that I got this thing, but I'm getting I'm getting extra, let's say it's extra VC just because I got lucky on the slot machines and I'm better than the next guy just because of that alone. Well, people are going to say that's unfair. That's just not, that's simply an unfair advantage. So these are things that I am curious to see, Obed, how it really turns out. Does it make you feel like you earned it? That was the things that we talked about with loot boxes, right? Like it's one thing to
Yeah.
have the add-ons that expand the experience. It's another thing that make you have a better experience. That's a danger.
Yeah, yeah, and then we're going back to Battlefront and the whole thing, that this is like basically like gambling and it's for kids and this thing. This game is even rated E. I mean, that's the thing,
Yeah.
and that's the problem. And I think that they're definitely going to have an issue with the ESA now that this thing is public. And the game is out. I mean, that's the thing, right? The game is out basically, and what's the ESA? Uh, what's the ESA going to do? I mean, are they going to want them to not release these features? Or they want them to, just hide these features, remove them? I don't know. Basically get their game recerted, to go through certification and have M form assured because of gambling. You know, I have there's one of the Persona games that I have. I can't remember if it was 4 or 5, but it's on the rating. They're both rated M, but it has like gambling on the thing.
Sure.
On the description. So and they're not loot boxes. It's just that you're basically doing like a gambling thing, that you're basically going into this place and doing this thing, right? It's not even an actual game mechanic. It's just something that happens in game, and it's still there, you know. And this is straight up like it's a slot machine, dude. That's what was crazy to me. It wasn't like Battlefront, right, where you get a crate and you get different things. This was straight up a slot machine. Pull the lever, get your stuff. And there was one other mini game that was straight up a pachinko game, which
Yeah.
is also sort of gambling. So, um, man, I don't know. I don't know if this is gonna you know fly by the ESA. I'm pretty sure that the ESRB is already looking into this thing. Um, but again, yeah, going back, like you said, uh, how's the community reacting to this? You know what? I'm gonna go on YouTube real quick. I'm gonna see how many dislikes this video has. So yeah,
Interesting.
if you don't mind
Yeah.
filling dead air.
Yeah, no, it's totally understandable, Obed. Like, I mean, I think people after the EA situation became very picky about loot boxes and the systems behind it, and it became a hot name. So anything regarding this type of um hint of even his kinds of mechanics, this one to me, like you said, Obed, seems way more obvious than anything else. But h- like how do they feel that they can be so confident about this? What gives them those assurances? Maybe we'll have comments about it later. Maybe they'll talk to the executives over at this from the 2K team, right, that made this game. I'd love to hear more insight on it because it's definitely going to be something that we were reporting on now, right? Like what is and what we've seen, and telling people to go check it out for themselves. The game comes out, I believe, next week, if I'm not mistaken. But it's like, with that being the case, the game's basically out. Can it really change that much? Like, I mean, I don't know.
So hold on to your hold on to your hold on to your pantalones here, man.
Goodness
Um,
gracious.
this video has 198 likes and 23,000 dislikes
Wow.
right now.
Wow.
That's the community right there.
Wow.
So bro, I don't know. I mean, yeah, and you look on YouTube and stuff, and it's like, oh my god, gambling, oh, slot machines, and WTF and this and that. So um I'm pretty sure that there have to there's have to be a there has to be a change. I don't think this is gonna, in my opinion, Joe. I mean, it's hard to say, but I I I do not approve of this sort of mechanic, and I don't like it. I'm not a fan at all. And then I could say it, for 2K, and I could say it for Battlefront, and I could say it for Street Fighter, I could say it for any game that I would play. So it's rough. It's rough. They're in a rough spot. Hopefully they'll figure it out, and before the government jumps in, because the ESA does a great job at keeping the government away from games. So before they jump in, I'm sure that there's gonna be some changes here. So I guess we'll figure out, or we'll know what's gonna happen in the next few weeks here. So Joe, that's what we got, man.
That's right.
You want to go ahead and plug us in again next week? Unfortunately, we are not going to have an episode. We will see how it is over here in Florida for the following week. Hopefully, my room doesn't get damaged. Got two windows right here. I'm hoping for the best. So, yeah, Joe, go ahead and plug us in, man.
Absolutely, guys. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to listen to us here on the show. We want to invite you to stay connected with us. So go ahead and subscribe to the show. Subscribe to No Load Time on iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, and Spotify. Also, make sure you're a subscriber to our video version here on YouTube. Make sure to follow us on our social media at No Load Time. That's at No Load Time for Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch. You can see when we drop our latest episodes. Stay informed, especially as we give updates in relation to the storm that's about to hit us, to make sure we can record our next episode, as Obed said. Also, we want to invite you guys to send emails, send your feedback. We appreciate everything that we hear from you guys. noloadtime@gmail.com. That's noloadtime@gmail.com. Thank you so much, guys. Keep watching, keep rocking with us, and may the force be with you.
See you guys whenever we get back. Have a good one.